Two teams, bitter rivals, each contestant filled with the hunger not to defeat their counterpart, but decimate them. Two teams equally committed not to winning, but to dominating. In fact, each game represents one step toward what all teams long for: dynasty. With the seats empty, what remains are the echoes of rivalries created for our amusement. And it's easy to see that each of these two teams we witness doing battle exists because of the other.
But how much of the contest is about the game? Or is this conflict that plays out before us just incidental action? We come to the stadium, or racetrack, or Olympic arena to be entertained and marvel at the skills of the athletes. But to the owners, merchandisers, and promoters, the contest itself is at least partially a subtle misdirection. To those stakeholders, the game represents an opportunity to perpetuate what they are in this business for: profit. T-shirts, beer, box seats, and so on. They are the product behind the contest and the necessary fuel which drives the existence of the contest itself.
In fact, to the profiteers, victory may not be as important as prolonging the pursuit of victory. In professional sports, draft regulations, salary caps, and all sorts of controls are in place to do what? Spread the wealth, literally. We want a variety of teams to win, so that leagues are assured a broad cross-section of fans. Paying fans.
But what does it mean when the pursuit of victory by one or the other team in this two-party contest completely supersedes the purpose of the players on those teams? This is the story of the two-party political system in America and of the election cycle pendulum of dominance, which threatens to render our citizens into nothing more than paying spectators. Can we afford to continue to be distracted and entertained while those two teams pursue glory? Should we continue to watch from the stands as those two teams strive for dynasty? Our dynasty? Let's find out. course, we didn't always have these two parties. Today's system is the result of 200 years of political evolution. America has endured 5 separate political chapters during its lifetime. Let's take a 2-century trip, condense it into under 5 minutes, and see what got us here. The first party system consisted of the Federalist Party, originated by Alexander Hamilton, and the Democratic-Republican Party. Yeah, it was one body back in the day, and it was founded by James Madison and this guy.
Thomas Jefferson, our nation's 3rd president, had been George Washington's Secretary of State, as well as John Adams' vice president. He didn't see eye to eye with Hamilton's belief that America needed a unified central government.
The War of 1812 and political bickering put the Federalist Party out to pasture by 1816. And for a time, until 1824, the U.S. political machine ran on one fuel, the Democratic-Republican Party. Then the second political period began with a split in that party. Andrew Jackson was the namesake of the Jacksonian Democrats, and the other team was known as the Whigs, led by Henry Clay. The moniker Whig came from the title American Whigs and was one of the many terms used by the colonists who opposed the British during the American Revolution. The term was used to describe those who considered themselves opposers of tyranny, sort of a badge of honor. Think Tea Party. So it's the first half of the 1800s, and the Democrats are standing for the role of president as primary leader. The Whigs believed that Congress should have sway over the executive branch. By 1850, the Whigs were facing extinction. Many of their principal members had died, and divisions in the party over the subject of slavery had taken their toll. By 1854, the third party system was in full swing, signified by the appearance of the Republican Party. The Republicans stood against slavery and for many of the Whig philosophies, such as national banks, high taxes, and railroads. Referred to as the fourth party system, the years 1896 through 1932 saw no shift in the parties which dominated American politics, but the issues changed, as did our world. This period was dominated by the Republicans, a fact which led us to the fifth party system. (1933) ushered in the fifth party system. Pundits argue over the end date of this period. Some say it ended in the 1960s. Others say we remain in that period today. What was the significance of this era? Democratic domination primarily. How did the Dems run the tables and hold the White House during every one but 2 elections from 1932 to 1968? The New Deal coalition. That coalition was created by a Roosevelt of the Franklin variety. The concepts that the New Deal brought to bear in American politics are very much alive today. So here we are. Our nation is governed by a 2-party system, right? Sure, we've got roughly 55 million Americans as registered Republicans, another 72 million as Democrats. Well, that would be everyone, right? What about the 42 million citizens considered independents in America? You know, the Libertarians, Green Party, Constitution Party. These numbers aren't that far off. We've got 3 distinct voting blocks in America and only 2 primary parties with any street credibility in our voting system. So help me understand, why 2 parties? And what maintains the stranglehold these 2 organizations have over the direction and ultimately the leadership of our country?
Maybe it's about telling a story. And the weavers of our political tale have made the aesthetic of politics dominant over the real-world function. Our nation's political landscape is a facade. And what better place in all the world to try and understand what creating that illusion is all about than here, the symbol of flashy facades, Las Vegas. Here in this most unreal of American cities, you aren't standing in any of the places that your senses would have you believe. Like American politics, what surrounds you and the reality behind it are 2 separate and distinct things. It's all, what's the word? Oh, right. In the middle of a desert, we accept an illusion presented to us of Italian sculpture Sparkling fountains, grand canals, and gardens in full bloom. The goals of our politicians and the faux world of Vegas are not that different either. Inside the lavish hotels, the gilded corridors, and the climate-controlled casinos, we're lulled into that cozy place of sanguine comfort, having fun, diverted from daily life. A world of color, glamour, and escapist diversion is designed to make us forget the machine behind it all. Isn't that why millions of us come here? So behind the red, white, and blue of American politics, much like the alternative universe in Vegas, what's happening is sometimes cleverly disguised by how it is being done. But what happens when we step back, take ourselves out of the flashing lights and tightly controlled messages designed by marketers and corporations to entice and subdue us? We've got to go further to have a commanding view, free from distraction, to see what really lies beneath. Among the red rock, cactus, and scorpions, you get a sense of a larger world. We're reminded that the trappings of Vegas are only slightly more real than a mirage in the desert. Like something created from nothing, the presentation and flash exist to get us in the game.
So with the glitz and the shine of Vegas just over those mountains, a city of sin and fun and diversion built up out of what was nothing. We have to figure that Ben Siegel and those that came after him knew what they were doing when they built it. They weren't gambling. So maybe it's about time we got out into the desert beyond the lights and the glitz and the excitement of the campaign speeches and asked those tough questions. We've had this two-party system for so long, I think we've taken it for granted. And we've stopped wondering and examining whether or not it's an effective way to elect our leaders. And maybe more importantly, how effective a way it is for us to govern our country.
To fully comprehend how deeply we've been hypnotized by the cult of personality in our political world, you need only visit the canyons of concrete and steel that make up New York City. Here in Times Square, that most American cultural element called consumerism is sparkling 24 kilowatt hours a day. And while the pictures and pixels glowing all around us transmit that compelling message of buy, 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 it's we who are for sale. It's time to slow it all down. We should demand more of our political leaders than slick branding and marketing. It should require more than a logo, a party affiliation, and a campaign catchphrase to address the complexities of our world. But surely we're a nation of reasonable people, right? I mean, how far would we let party politics stretch its clawed hand around the throat of reason and logic? To find out, I decided to do what no one in the American media had been able to do: travel to our 50th state and get the answer to the burning question they had all been too lazy to obtain. Who were the creators of our current puppet president, and where did the myth of Barack Obama's so-called American birth originate? My search would take me to Hawaii, our 44th president's claimed birthplace. But not this Hawaii, the paradise of postcards and honeymoons. I was searching for the origin of a different kind of chameleon. After a barrage of whispered meetings, encrypted emails, and secured phone conversations, I had come to the island of Kauai for a manhunt. Here, I was told, the creators of our Manchurian candidate president could be found. From the air I searched, examining every volcanic crevasse, every ridgeline, every canyon wall and valley floor. Somewhere down there, perhaps living in a cave within an extinct volcanic crater, the perpetrators had been hiding for more than 4 decades. I could smell the trail, or maybe that was the poi. I knew we were getting close. Sightings had been sparse, but a tip drew me away from civilization. Led by my expert guides, we drove deeper into the jungles of the island, into the heart of darkness.
We're in their territory now. To catch them, we have to get dirty.
We were going off the grid now. Bartering for hitched rides on a farmer's tractor, I trekked ever closer to my target. Another day deeper into my quest, and we had run out of roads. Now the only way to reach these canny hucksters was to fly over dense jungle. Finally, my luck turned. On a fresh tip from a pig rancher's widow, I had reached the coast, where word was these scoundrels had been holed up. 2 days hiking led me to the pockmarked caves and grottos where the locals said these presidential mythmakers dine daily on freshly snarred seagull. I knew this was it. I was close. Our nation had been veiled in the darkness of a lie for long enough, and now, the truth was nearly in my grasp. At last, here. They thought they could remain undetected, and that we mainlanders would just go along with this faux leader they had created.
My intel suggests somewhere in those caves, the perpetrators are hiding.
At last, here. They thought they could remain undetected and that we mainlanders would just go along with this faux leader they had created. Yes, you thought you could get away with it, didn't you, K.A.? This Boston-based team had thought if they moved their deception out into the Pacific, that the rest of us would just swallow their lies. Isn't that right, Wheezy a baby? Is that what you thought, Maisie? But like Al Gore in 2000, what I thought I had in my grasp had become an apparition. Turns out Maisie was not the ringleader in a complex deception to defraud the American public, and my calls to Wheezy a baby.
Thank you for calling Wheezy's House of Bondage. For latex bodysuit orders, press or say 1. For nipple rouge, press or say 2. If you purchased a defective full face mask and your zipper is stuck, press or grunt 3.
Ridiculous, right? None of you expected me to phone the New York Times and tell them I got those bastards. But we should all be more than a little concerned that a large portion of our voting populace believed, and some still do, that Barack Obama is not a natural-born U.S. citizen, and as a result, they question his legitimacy as chief executive. Seriously? This topic took airwaves for months, filled seats on talk shows, became the linchpin talking point for a now debunked GOP candidate who promised to get to the bottom of this sham. A 100% party politics motivated accusation which distracted too many Americans for too long. Barack Obama isn't a puppet president, And George W. Bush didn't create the 9/11 attacks for his own means, but there are those who believe that the converse of those two truths is reality. As this series continues, we'll explore other examples of stories, policies, and positions that come right out of party playbooks. And we'll begin speaking with those inside the political arena as we ask them to help us understand.